This video is specifically what I call this is the disaster relief in the age of guilty consciences. Disaster relief in the age of guilty consciences. Also known as the paper, The Wealth, Tithing, Giving, and Charity Fallacy. Okay. And this is what I've seen in a few contexts, is where people will try to, in churches, try to raise, we need to raise money, do fundraising for certain NGOs and charities, or what you want to call these things, okay? And what happens is that there will be, by the end of the year, say, we've raised, $10,000, pat on the back. Yes, we've raised $10,000, which equivalent to, maybe 5% of the budget, or 7% of the budget, or 10% of the budget, or whatever. Okay. I call that pat on the back charitable contributions, because it can be more than that. And usually, when I've been involved in types of humanitarian relief, disaster relief, it's not about $10,000. It's about hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in massive interventions for disaster relief, such as the Haiti earthquake in 2010. And there's more to it than just giving some money to say that we did something good, okay? That is something I think that we as Westerners need to think about when we are helping others. It should not be just seen as we felt good about giving some money to something. And that was something that when I got invited to Microsoft, there's a specific video that I was invited to Microsoft to come talk about disaster relief and language technology for that. There's a 90-minute video of my talk up on the internet. And the reason for that is I spent about 10 months, about 700 hours of my free time negotiating my job to be able to help with that. Probably one of the most complicated any program I've ever done for my entire career. And I've worked on a lot of complicated things, but that was quite a complicated thing with volunteers, some crowdsourcing, and make it happen. Doing it from my own living room, and doing it from different places where I happen to be working from, with Wi-Fi and internet access, to be able to organize things to help people that were on site, under doctors that were on site and doing that. And I was effective in that, and that was helpful. And but the reason that I did that, and I think that what's important, is that it wasn't to say I gave $1,000, or I gave $500, or I gave $200 or something, because I said to people, when people would ask me why I did that, I said, given that I had spent 10 years of my life working on the Creole languages, given that I had also spent 2 years building a translation system for Haitian Creole, bidirectional translation system sitting on a shelf that had not been deployed completely and used, given that I had also set up a business plan that didn't get funded because of the dot-com crash, plus 9/11 happened at the same time. I was not working Arabic. Creole language is not important. Watch the video. On the Microsoft talk, where I talk a little bit more in depth. But in the end, I said, and this is where I'll change the specific statements, is that if I had just given $100 or $200 or $300 or whatever for that disaster relief, my conscience would not be appeased. I would not feel that I'd given everything to be able to help those in need that were dying underneath the gravel. And that doctors were needing to help them. And that I believe on the day of judgment before God, that if I had just given a little bit of money, He would not have been, I feel that Matthew 25, the sheep and the goats, would have been enacted on, and saying, I was hungry, I was thirsty, you did not give, you did not help. Sure, I gave $100, but that's not what it's about. It's about being able to say that I gave everything that I could, and all of my talents and things that I've been able to do over the years and a couple decades, to be able to give everything out of my abilities to be able to help in a certain need in a specific amount, a specific time frame. And in the end, I'm not able to measure how many people were saved physically from the interventions during the 2000 census, the medical phrases, I don't know. How many people were psychologically, I have no idea, I can't measure that. But I do know that I will not feel condemned in front of God at the end of the day of judgment and just saying, Jeff, you just gave $100, you just gave $200, and you could have given something else. And I gave everything I could, and I feel my conscience is quite clear about that now. And I continue to help where I can, and it helps to do other things. So when you're looking at giving towards disaster relief, charities, it's not about the amount, it's not about the topic, it's not even about the charity itself. It's about the attitude. It's about why you're doing it. And if the underlying thing is giving to the orphans and widows, look at the verses for that true religion. It's about the sheep and the goats, look at chapter Matthew 25. It's about the Good Samaritan. Okay? It's about giving and helping people in need. And if you're able to say that clearly and to articulate it and express that biblically, and that your giving is to really do the two things that Jesus said is love the Lord your God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. And it all the law and all the commandments summed up in those two things. It's loving your neighbor. And in any way that you can to be helpful. It's not about saying I gave money and I took my tax credit and I wrote it off for that and I've been able to save this and take the money off my taxes. It's not about that. Yes, that's an advantage. That doesn't give a reason to be able to entice people to do that, but that's not the underlying reason. And these are things I think that we need to look at from what is the purpose in church? What is the purpose of promoting missions and giving and all that? Is it just to be able to say that we gave this much money? Is it just to say that we tithe 10% of our budget to missions? If that's just it, then that's just an administrative topic. If it's not about we want to impact and help, but give out of what we've received, we can also give to others, and we can use those abilities, whether it be resources, whether it be money, whether it be abilities, building, construction, medical, to be able to help others in need, then that's what it's about. Now we just have to keep, go watch my other video where I talk about where it's not about us, because I do talk about that too, and it's not about our experience in that. I talked a little bit about those topics, but be careful of the fallacy of the giving and tithing fallacy, or what I call the disaster relief in the age of guilty consciences. And a great book that I just want to suggest in the end that you read, which changed, I think, my life back in the 1980s. It was written in the late 1970s and then revised. It's by Ronald Sider, and it's called Rich Christians in an Age of Hunger, Moving from Affluence to Generosity. That's Rich Christians in an Age of Hunger, moving from affluence to generosity. A book that changed my life 30 years ago, and I've always kept it in mind. And I believe that when you read that and understand it and apply it, you'll see where we in Western cultures are really accountable for things if we don't give what we've got and our resources of different types to be able to help those that are in need that don't have it, who are in the body of the billionth. And it's to be able to say that we don't feel regret at the end of our lives that we didn't do things to help others and to love the neighbor.